What's good YouTube, it's your boy Pokeface here, and today in this video I'm going to be breaking down the Galar region that you can see on your screen. I'm going to be touching on the different things that link to the parts of the region, what I think about the different parts of the region as well, considering it is based on the UK guys, and as some of you might know, I am from the UK, and so I'm really hyped because I feel like I'm actually a part of this region for the first time. You know, I get that feeling with other regions, but now it's so close to home that it is completely different. I feel like when I'm choosing my starter Pokemon, it's like I'm actually going to be choosing that as a 10-year-old version of me going out into the world. So yeah, but as you can see on this first screen here guys, what it is it's based on the UK upside down. I don't know the first person that came up with this idea, but now that you look at it, it must be true. It's definitely like that. No matter what other YouTubers say, it's definitely an upside down version of the UK. The main reasons I think this are as follows. You can see London being this town here. No one has disputed that London is this town. Up here, it's quite obviously London, simply because we know that this is probably Buckingham Palace, as I'll go on to. We know the different things here as well, as I'll explain. And then as you go down, you go through the Midlands, etc. And then you get to here. This is what I see to be Edinburgh, as I'll explain again later. This being some river in Scotland, probably. But this area down here is definitely going to be Scotland. So that's why I think it's upside down. Other reasons also being that if you look at the curvature here to the left of Cambridge in this diagram here, it would actually be to the right in real life. You have this curvature here, you see the point here, by Brighton and London, you see the point there. You can see this river going through here. There's a river through here called the Thames, which is quite popular in the UK. And then you can see a few more of these ridges that look a lot like it. And it's never going to look exactly the same. You know, it's a Pokemon game at the end of the day. They're not going to just take an actual country and put it into the game. But there's loads of reasons for thinking like this, for it to be this upside down structure. Here we can see this sort of thing over here. And the Isle of Man will also be somewhere here. There's no Northern Ireland or island, so technically it's not really the UK or Great Britain. It is more just Scotland and England and Wales, which is 3 out of 4, considering Northern Ireland would normally also be a part of it. But they might have some features in there that link to that as well. But moving on, let's get right to the top. I'm going to start from the top, work my way down to the bottom. Here we can see London, and the main things we can see to know it's London is the London Eye, which would be here. Hopefully you guys know what the London Eye looks like. If not, I will bring it up. So we can see the London Eye here. If we go on images, it's just this big round structure. It's like a big Ferris wheel by the Houses of Parliament as well, somewhere nearby. Have these little carriages. It's just like a giant Ferris wheel, and it's something that we associate when we think about London. What else do we see? So we have a building in London called the Shard. It's the largest skyscraper in the whole of Europe, and I think that's what this is going to be based on. You can see from the bottom and the top structure. This you don't see in the actual Shard, as I'll show you now. Here you can see what the Shard looks like. It's meant to be in the shape of a shard of glass, and you can see just how big it is compared to these other skyscrapers as well. But I think what they've done is they've taken this design and they've put this round thing that you can see here. And I think maybe that's going to be like the Pokemon League or something quite important up there as well. Maybe a head organization, considering the business works that happen at the Shard in London or in central London. And so I think, yeah, that's just basically the Shard. You can see some glass features around here as well. Main shape is similar, it's just this round thing on the top there. The London Eye, like I said before. This is actually Big Ben, which can be seen and noticed because it's right next to the river, which is the River Thames, and it's next to these Parliament buildings as well, which is what the Big Ben is like if I was to show you a picture, which I'm going to do now. So, and Big Ben's actually the bell tower, or the bell inside the tower. It's actually called Victoria Tower, I think, or something like that. But here it is. You can see the Parliament buildings next to it as well. Here's a better view with the River Thames right next to it as well, as you can see. And so that's why it has to be Big Ben, rather than what people were thinking, which was this is Big Ben, which it's not, as I'll go on to explain. And here's the Royal Albert Hall. The reason I think it is the Royal Albert Hall, if I zoom in a bit, is because you look at its red features, it's round, it looks a bit like an opera house, and so I think it could be the Royal Albert Hall. You see the redness in here. You play some sport matches in here, like tennis you can play in here. As you can see here, the BAFTAs are also announced there. It's a round building and inside is red. That is why I thought like that. However, if you look at it again, it also has this thing around the top, and again the redness inside. So it's more likely than not going to be Wembley Stadium. You see, the reason I think this is because this badge over here, which will play a huge role, guys, in the competitive game at some point when we find out what it actually is to do with. It's probably a Valve feature, just like the Z stones, etc., because we've seen it in the Japanese Pokémon logo. But the reason I think it's probably Wembley Stadium, again, to do with London, the redness, this thing on top of it as well, and because I think all these gyms per se are meant to be based on like soccer fields for Americans or football grounds for us in the UK, and we see that in the trailer as well. If I can find the right picture, no, here we go. So you can see him walking to this gym, or what I think is a stadium, a football stadium. He looks like he's dressed in kind of soccer or football attire as well as he walks into this area, and you see this badge over there, and that's how I'm going to count the gyms, or what I think to be the gyms. So yeah, this is definitely going to be something like Wembley Stadium up there, and so that makes sense, that being in London as well. I showed you Big Ben, and this looks maybe like Oxford Street or something. These more rustic shops, I think they'll be. You see all these skyscrapers. So I'm hoping this London area is incredibly huge, as it probably will be. Now, why is this Buckingham Palace? So first of all, it's the Queen's Palace next to the Windsor Castle as well. I think it's Windsor Castle because you see the crown on top. But let's look at Buckingham Palace. So here you see a fountain, you see a red overlay around it, and you see what is known to be the palace. Now, if we look at the actual Buckingham Palace, you see this building in the background, as we saw. There's a fountain in the middle, and you see this red stretchway that leads to an outward gate as well. So you do see that, and it does look a lot like Buckingham Palace. None of these pictures are doing justice to what it looks like. You have to go there to see what I'm trying to say. Oh, well, this is pretty good. But you can see this round around it. The palace is over there, greenery, and then it leads to the city as well. So if we look and compare that to this, you see that leading to the city, almost exactly the same. You have that link there, greenery around it. Now, you know there's no wall there, but again, it's not going to be exactly the same as the UK. But this is definitely based on Buckingham Palace. So this is London, there's no doubt about it, and then that's obviously again why it's an upside down UK, because London's in the south of England and it wouldn't be in the north like some people might think. So if we work our way down, or in the actual map we're working our way up the UK, as like I said, this is upside down. We see this mountainous area here. Now I don't think that there's many icy mountains there. If I was to show you a map with the different mountains we have here, so working away from London, going up to there, there's mountains up here, but not really too close to the London area, especially icy mountains. So I think that's just an adaptation. We needed some form of ice in this game, and so we see that there. And then if we look at this, so we saw the Wembley Stadium gym, which is up there. I think this is going to be an ice gym here, which is based on some form of Roman artwork that we can see. I'm not too sure where exactly this is in the UK. It's probably based on some museum or castle. There's loads of castles in the UK. And there's a gym there, and if you look close enough, there's a badge as well there somewhere. And so we see the same badge. And we know there's going to be badges around all of these. So I think that's going to be an ice gym. There's going to be a fairy gym because we see these mushrooms. There's a lot of mushrooms in the UK as well. There is going to be a gym here, I'm presuming, because we see this battle arena. And you walk out of this dragon place. So it's a dragon gym. We see this rocky area as well. I think this is going to play a part in terms of legendaries and stuff. So look out for this area with the three looking doorways. It just looks like regular caves. I don't think it's too much to do with the UK. nor is this color work, in my opinion. But what does play a big role in the UK is the miners that used to play a role, and the miners actually what carved what we know as soccer and football today as well. And so I think this is going to be the mining area that we've seen in the trailer. You go into here, and I'm basing that on the colors that are here, and then you go underground and there's loads of stuff to mine, etc, etc. A nice little town here as well, probably based on the mines. Here we see, and I think this is closer to the north of England and the Midland area as well, we see a water gym here as well, or water football stadium. These stadiums are probably attributed to different football stadiums as well in different parts of the UK. But here we see a football stadium or gym, which is by what would be known as the Isle of Wight. I think this is going to be the makeshift Isle of Wight with this lighthouse as well. We see a boat, we see docks, but here we see this Pokemon looking thing. It's definitely going to be a Pokemon. I doubt it's not going to be. I think it's like an Easter egg in the trailer as well, but everyone's thinking it's Pokemon, and I think it's going to be a mythical or legendary. We see little creatures down here, meaning it's probably huge, so it's probably going to be a legendary Pokemon rather than a mythical Pokemon, so do note that. And I think it's going to be maybe fire, maybe electric. I think it's going to be based on the Welsh Dragon. Personally, I know it's not close to the Welsh side of this game, but if I was to show you the Welsh Dragon, and this is a dragon on a flag, there's lots of history and stories behind it. I think it's going to be something like that, but without the wings maybe. That's just a personal guess. But we do know it's probably going to be a legendary. Now, where do we see this in the UK? We actually see it in a place called Dorset, which I don't go to too often, me being a city boy personally as well. I am actually from London. But if I can find the actual crop circle, we have a few crop circles in the UK, but this one's actually apparently based on the Cern Abbas giant. This is what everyone thinks. And as you can see, it's just a giant crop circle on the side of a hill, and that's what we see in this image as well. It could be based on other crop circles as well, but yeah, that's what we see, especially around farm areas, which you see all around the UK. These three things could have a high link to the Stonehenge, which is in the UK as well. If I can just find a picture of that. So yeah, this is a very big part of UK history as well. How did they get there? It's a bit of a mystery, but you can see these stones and the way they are shaped, and if we were to go back, we can see the way these stones are shaped as well. So I think that's what it's based off. A few stones all around the area. Another sort of palace over here. It could just be something completely different. You see more fields there. Mountains all across this area. Now, I think that's really important to note because, like I showed you in that other image, that there are mountains throughout the UK. It's just sometimes they're known as hills. Here, if we were to flip this picture the other way around, like here, then you would see mountains because there's loads of mountains around Scotland's area around here, and which are past Edinburgh, as you can see there. But if I go back to that picture here, then you can see that they're the Grampian Mountains, which all around here, the Highlands as they're known as well. And so I think that's what those specific mountains are, or that mountain range here. Might be able to like look at it and discover stuff as well, I'm not too sure. Another important thing to note is trains are a big thing in the UK. You see the trains going through here, trains going all across the country up until Scotland, loads of different trains like the East Midlands train, etc. And we have our own tube stations in London as well, the Underground. Now that plays a big part into London culture as well as the buses. I'm hoping to see all of that in London. I'm going to make another video with a friend about the stuff I expect, especially in the London area of the game. If we look at the other stuff, here we've already been introduced to that stadium you saw in the other picture. Here, now this is Edinburgh, and the reason it's Edinburgh and nothing else is, look, there we go, there's the picture, that is Edinburgh. People assume this would be Big Ben, and to people outside the UK probably still think this is Big Ben. It's not. It's a clock tower in the middle of Edinburgh, as you can see there, and that's why it adds to this idea of it being upside down. So if we see this part here as being England and maybe like Wales somewhere around to do that, then this part would be Scotland. And because of the way the camera is looking at the region, it might look a bit smaller than it actually is, but I'm sure this part is going to be much bigger than we think it is, especially this part back here. And it's not just going to be the same size as what we see to be the Scotland area. Now, why do we also think this is Scotland? I think there's links to the Loch Ness over here, which is in the northern part of Scotland, I do believe it's somewhere around here, and this is going to be some other form of lake. People think this might be based on Lake District. It might still be, even though Lake District is in England, they might have pushed it up here past Edinburgh just for the sake of the game. But again, here's the starting region, here's the starting town, as I'll zoom in over here. Here's the starting town we saw in the trailer. Again, more farm, more fields. I think this is more the Loch Ness we see. I think this might be the house you start. Oh, no, sorry. Where is it? You go down a hill, I think, or something like that. Here's where you probably start off, according to what we saw in the trailer. Here's the professor's lab over here, sorry. I don't know what this is yet. We'll probably find out closer to the time. Another river going past into what I think is the Loch Ness, which might have a legendary Pokemon in it as well. But here we can see another place you can battle. I don't think that's gym related at all. We see a tunnel through this hill with another train station. I think this island here is going to be some post-game stuff, some legendary stuff, possibly some King Arthur related stuff as well. Don't ask me why I think that, but I think there's going to be some links there, so don't expect to go there too early into the game. So we can walk or we can take the train. I'm not sure what this castle is based on. Again, the UK has so many castles it could be based on literally anything. So you couldn't put your finger on it properly. You see a bridge here from this place known as Edinburgh in the UK, and I'm going to push for this to definitely be Edinburgh. I do think it is. People were saying that, oh, maybe they just put London on top, it's the right way around UK. It's not going to be like that. It's definitely upside down. And they were saying this is like Salisbury or something, with the largest cathedral in the UK. Again, I'm a London boy, I'm a city boy, so I wouldn't know too much about that. But let's count the gyms or these football stadiums that we will be battling in to go to the Pokemon League. There's nothing down here. I don't think there will be in terms of that. There's something here. If we look into the trailer again, you can see that behind, I forgot the director of the games, there is a little badge up here somewhere with the same logo as the logo we've seen on the guy who is, where is it? Same logo as we see here, which is an integral part of the battling again, because it's in Japanese logos. So there's definitely one in here, there's one there, there's one there, so that's 3 already. 4, 5, 6, 6. I think because of this thing here, I think there's going to be one here. There definitely has to be, and I think this might be based on Windsor Castle, because if you didn't know, the Queen's surname and the Queen and the whole family, the royal family, are Windsors by surname, and the actual palace is here. Buckingham Palace is the Queen's Palace, which is in London as well. And so how many was that? There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, and so there's one left, and it has to be in London. There's no, and what do you mean has to be? It's there, and we can see it, and that will be the Wembley Stadium, the largest stadium I think in the UK, and this is like the stadium our international team plays at, and when people come from abroad to play games, we normally play it in the Wembley Stadium. Right now occupied by Tottenham, whilst they're having their own stadium made, or another stadium made at the moment. And I'm a big football fan, and so I can't wait to see the link they make with football, or what you guys in America call soccer, into these games. Hopefully there is some big link. I'm curious to see what you guys think. I think they have missed out a few major cities. If this is to be Scotland down here, this will probably be Manchester and Liverpool around here somewhere, this being around the Cumbria region or area of the UK. a lovely bridge you can see there, and there's so much good artwork in this game. There's so much to be pleased about, and so it's really cool. And so yeah, look, we can definitely know there's at least 7 that we can see on this in the trailer and on this poster, and so there is probably going to be an 8th gym, and so they're probably going back to the gyms, especially considering the trials were specific to Alola. So I highly doubt there isn't a gym here. They'll probably show it later on into the year before the things come out. But like I said before, there's 1, 2, 3, definitely one there we saw in the trailer. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which we can obviously, 7, which you can obviously see as well, which is Wembley Stadium. And some of them might be based on rugby stadiums as well, or cricket stadiums, or cricket grounds. We'll have to wait and see. And then we're looking for the last one. I think it's probably going to be in here. That's the best shout we have. In terms of types, I think it's going to be a grass type gym, as we saw in the trailer. Ice, fairy, because of the colours here. Rock or ground, probably. Wembley, it could be literally anything. It could be a fire. It could be there's the water down here as well, to make that clear. Could be a fire, could be a normal gym, could be really anything, because it's not like there's anything represented by the fact that it is Wembley Stadium. You do see that redness though, so it might be fire. And then the one in here, maybe steel, because it's like industrialized. It's like the old sort of industrial UK. We heard that the region was made by the help of Pokémon and humans, and I think there's going to be a big clash between the industrialization that we saw in the UK in the past, the Industrial Revolution we had, and this very modern city of London that we see here. All the skyscrapers, a bit like Unova. I'm hoping it looks better than the Castelia city. It probably will be, and it's going to be much larger, guys, on a Switch format. So I think that's quite cool. Told you something big's going to go down here as well. Let's look at some of the other images I have. So yeah, so if you look at the designs that these guys are wearing, very Scottish clothing sort of vibe, red with a plaid as well, cold sort of wear with the hat. She's wearing a Scottish looking hat as well, and the reasons I brought that up is because, again, to show it's upside down and to show this part is to do with Scotland. We can tell because of the mountains, we can tell because of the lake, we can tell because this, guys, is Edinburgh. But, and I'm not going to stop saying that, sorry, but because we start here in Scotland, it makes sense for our characters to be initially wearing Scottish clothing, or Scottish looking clothing. So that's quite cool. What else? Showed you that. Showed you the mountains. Loads of famous castles that are probably going to be in the game. Loads of palaces, loads of different things that we'll be able to see. Show you London Eye, Big Ben, Welsh Dragon, Stonehenge. Loads of different things, loads of different stadiums. Wembley Stadium being that thing at the top. I thought initially that it was going to be the Royal Albert Hall. Maybe that'll be somewhere else. I'm assuming that there's going to be way more represented than just this, because London has so much to offer. There's probably going to be the Gherkin building as well. There might be the walkie-talkie building you guys can search up. Stuff that makes London London. I'm hoping there's a tube system here. Tower Bridge isn't shown here. Maybe they'll render this or something to make Tower Bridge somewhere here. Any big walls? This wall here might be Hadrian's Wall. A dragon, so there's going to be a dragon gym, most likely. But yeah, guys, this is my initial thoughts of the region, what I see. It looks so beautiful. For you guys that might think it's looking a bit small of a region, it won't be, trust me. It's going to be on the Switch. Any game on the Switch will be larger than you might have thought. And yeah, what do you guys think? What do you think of the London area? Do you think it matches quite well? Do you think it's actually the UK the right way around? And then comment down below and I'll tell you why you're wrong, to be quite frank, because it's definitely just an upside down version of the UK, as we can see here as well, with this little dip here by Plymouth down there. It would be nice to have a couple beaches as well. We saw in the trailer a rocky area that looked a bit like a desert. It's not a desert, it's just going to be this rocky area here. But no real beaches. Like, there's a beach here, I guess, but I mean, to be fair, the beaches in England aren't amazing and it's not sunny all the time, but we do have some famous stuff all around, and I hope that's represented in the actual game, even if we can't see it here. Comment down below what you think this is, what you think this the other stuff is also based on. Are you hyped for these games? And yeah guys, I think that'll be all for this specific video. Follow me on social media and stuff to see some more of my thoughts on the games as they come out. I'm going to be creating a lot more videos as well, so drop a like, subscribe to the channel and comment, and I will catch you guys next time.